Howdy there, everybody. Tuck S here. I'm going to be giving you an intermediate lesson on saxophone today. So this is my E-flat alto sax, my bestest buddy. And the lesson I'm going to be giving you today pertains to vibrato or straight tone playing. So for people that are just exploring this field, you're probably going, what? So I'll simplify for you. If you didn't know preceding this lesson, you have been, very likely, there are variations, special cases, you have been playing with what we know as a straight tone, meaning that there is no to your pitch. There's no shake, there's no wobble. Now when you get into more soloistic playing, you kind of hear this shake, this quiver, if you will, in the pitch. And it's called a vibrato because it vibrates. So basically straight tone, to demonstrate, sounds like this. Vibrato sounds like this. So there's a little bit of a quiver to the pitch. So typically if you're in a concert band setting, let's say, or a wind symphony, where you're playing with a bunch of other alto saxophones, alto saxophones, you're going to be playing with what is known as the straight tone. Reason being is if you have a bunch of alto saxophones all playing vibrato, I would equivocate that to a 55-gallon oil drum full of spoons rolling down a hill. Yeah, it's pretty awful. So when you're all playing straight tone, there's not that difference in pitch. You all sound the same, you all sound uniform, you're all in tune, it sounds nice. But when you get into a little bit more advanced playing, some soloistic stuff, even in a concert band setting, you have soli, 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 and then you have solo. Who wants the solo? Me! I got it! Then you can add your vibrato in. And it just makes it sound a little bit more advanced, adds a little bit more depth to the music, plus it's fun. So vibrato is something that you can do on most instruments. Saxophone, clarinet, flute, bassoon, trumpet, trombone, tuba, French horn. Strings, minus this guy, the harp. You can't really do vibrato on the harp. You can't really do vibrato on the piano. Technical stuff. But for now, it has to do with airstream. For strings, it's hand movement. For brass, again, it's air. And there are really two schools of thought when it comes to vibrato. So I'm going to talk about both for you today. The most common, at least for me, as someone who started on bassoon, is a vibrato from the diaphragm. What's a diaphragm? The diaphragm, Tuck, what? Is that muscle in your stomach that controls your breathing. When you get the wind knocked out of you, it's because you've smacked your diaphragm. It's not fun, but at least you know where it is now. And when you vibrato from the diaphragm, it's a lot like laughing. Ha 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 ha. The second school of thought when it comes to vibrato is a vibrato of the mouth. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with airstream so much as it has to do with embouchure. So whereas the vibrato from the diaphragm is ho 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 ho, and you're laughing, you're forcing air through your instrument and causing that reed to vibrate differently. With your embouchure, you kind of That was really awkward. You roll your lip, you roll your jaw, and it kind of causes the point on the reed where your vibrations are functioning from to change just ever so slightly. And it kind of mimics the same technique in strings where you're changing that point of vibration. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate both for you. I'm going to start with straight tone. The second one that I'll play for you is a vibrato from the diaphragm. And the third one will be my favorite, a vibrato from the mouth, from the embouchure, from the lip, from the jaw, blah, 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 whatever. I've heard it referred to several different ways. As long as you know the difference between straight tone and vibrato, you're kosher. So, straight tone. Vibrato from the diaphragm. My favorite, a vibrato from the embouchure. The reason that I prefer the vibrato from the embouchure over the vibrato from the diaphragm is because this is a single reed instrument, unlike bassoon, and you have more control over how much wiggle, how much blah, 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 there is to the pitch. On bassoon, a double reed instrument, kind of looks like the beak of a duck, right? You don't have as much control. Reason being is because your embouchure on bassoon is everything. And if you change your lips at all, it'll throw you way out of tune. On saxophone, it's a little bit different because you don't have to worry about your upper lip. So you can kind of quiver with your lower lip, and then if this moves, you're not too hosed. So it's just my preference. I think it sounds better. It gives you more control. You can add a little bit of quiver, a lot of bit of quiver. It's kind of up to you. And it doesn't take as much practice, because in order to get that same control over huh, 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 you literally have to sit and practice laughing. Huh, 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 huh. It's ridiculous. But that's half of what we do, is having fun. So it's good to know both. And I'm going to kind of demonstrate where you can use straight tone versus my version of the vibrato. So, for example, if you're playing Mary Had a Little Lamb, with a straight tone, it sounds nice. But when you add a vibrato, which you don't want to do on every single note, please take that from me. You don't want to do this on every single note. It adds a little bit more feels to the music. Again, typically vibrato is used more in soloistic playing. So that doesn't mean necessarily you're always by yourself, but in the instance that you do have a solo in concert band music, break out that vibrato, show it off, I can do it, I've got it. But if you're playing with a bunch of other alto saxophones, hi alto saxophones! Then you really want to play straight tone. Because if you can imagine 7, 8 people doing that, oil drum full of spoons rolling down a hill, it's not pretty. So, those are really the basics of a vibrato. And you'll hear it all over the place when you start listening. When you learn what a vibrato is, and you listen to more upper level players, upper level ensembles, you'll hear both. So it's good to know. And as far as who taught me my vibrato, I learned from several people. Saxophone was Dr. Stephen Page at Colorado Mesa University. On bassoon, I learned from Mr. Francisco Castaneda. He taught me bassoon through middle school and into high school. Fantastic guy. He's the one that taught me about the vibrato from the diaphragm. Amber Campbell is the one who taught me my vibrato for strings, and she was my orchestra teacher at Central High School. And I also really got into developing my vibrato under Odette Couch. She's the deputy concertmistress for the Munich Philharmonic Symphony over in Germany. She's my aunt. She's a cool lady. She really helped me refine my technique. So I've kind of agglomerated the things that I've learned from Dr. Page and Odette and Mr. Castaneda into what I can use as two different techniques. So I very highly encourage you to work on, firstly, your straight tone and knowing what straight tone is. It's good to know. But also your vibrato from your diaphragm. So sit and practice laughing at different intervals. Ha, 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 ha. Ah! 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 And then work on your vibrato from the face, from the lips, from the jaw, from the embouchure, from this region. Because if you're going to be a crossover player like me, it's good to know both styles. And especially when you get into soloistic playing, it really will set you apart from the rest of the group. So again, I really hope that you enjoyed the lesson on vibrato today, when not to use it, I have the alto saxophones, and when to use it, I'm all by myself, woohoo, I've got it, and the two different styles. So, yeah, that about sums it up. Thank you for your time, and may the force be with you.